2, 1. Hold on. And welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes live stream. Today I'm being joined by Warrior, and we will be talking about past, current, and future metas. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Warrior.
And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is a live stream. This is a something we've never done before. It's actually two channels streaming live at the exact same time using the new YouTube app. So pretty cool. Pedro Santos, hey yo, what's happening? So we are going to be talking about past, current, and future metas, and we're also going to go into some characters that people would like to see enter the game that haven't yet been in the game, or maybe possibly characters that need reworked. So while we're talking, if you guys want to shout out some questions on either Virtual Gaming World's channel or on my channel, either one, he'll see his questions, I'll see mine. I think this is kind of cool. So Virtual Gaming World, by the way, everybody's saying hi. Capital Blackbeard saying hey, and the blooming good Brit, the blooming good Brit, he's saying what's up. Do you like being called Virtual Gaming World, or do you just want to be called VG Dubs, or what do you like being called?
Honestly, they could call me whatever they want, but VGW just seems short and easy for everybody. So if that's what they want to refer to me as, that is perfectly fine by me.
I like VG Dubs. I don't know why, but so there's just a ton of questions coming in right now on the right of the screen. And for now, if you just want to go ahead and play your game, I'm going to kind of play mine. We're just going to give them something to kind of watch while we chat about the meta and things like that. If you got anything in your inbox, go ahead and grab it and stuff. And I was going to play my Galactic War, and then I was an idiot and ended up playing that last night. Do you hate that when you like set up a perfect thought and then you totally, in being tired, just zip right through?
Honestly, it's happened to me numerous times, and it is quite funny when that happens. When you said that to me right before we went live and stuff, all I was thinking to myself is, man, I feel you. I've been there.
Sorry, drinking some
All right.
coffee out of my new Rogue One mug. So I was being a little quiet because I was drinking my Rogue One coffee. Because Rogue One coffee tastes better because it sacrifices itself for you. That was a. Hope you haven't seen the movie. So we're gonna talk about past, future, and current metas, and so let's go into the past really quick. You've been playing this game for like a year, isn't that correct?
A year, maybe longer. I don't know. I'm terrible with time.
And I've been playing for quite some time myself, and so I just kind of want to talk about the evolution. So first off, the meta is a word based off of data. Basically, metadata is the core data that comes or data that comes from a game that says what's inside the game, and that what's inside the game is what's being utilized. That's what we're talking about. What characters are being utilized, and what's basically the current strategy. That would be almost a better word to describe it. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree completely because whenever it's being used, you've got to either find a way to beat them or join them, which is never quite fun unless you're the one who likes to try to beat them. In my eyes, anyways, I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I feel like the old meta um, is about strategy. The new meta is about strategy, but it's changed in so many different ways. So the first meta that really came out, and excuse my finger for everybody who sees my finger going over the screen, they make this app to where you can't really play and talk at the same time. But and everybody's saying hi. Oh my gosh, we've got like 100 people saying hi to us and asking questions, and it's scrolling on my screen faster than I can talk. But we're gonna keep going. So the first thing is the past meta was really more about um, getting a singular character that was very powerful as a leader, and there was counters such as Count Dooku, and he was
Oh
he was
God, I
uh,
remember the
he was the thing.
yeah.
Everybody did Count Dooku, right? Everybody wanted Count Dooku, and
Everybody did it. And honestly, I remember because I probably was about maybe 3 months young. It took me because at that time I was still completely free to play, and it took me about 4 or 5 months to fully get Dooku. But by the time I got Dooku, the meta changed and Dooku became useless.
yeah, and then of course there was that huge fight about Sidious, Darth Sidious when he was out, and Captain Phasma, like who was better, right? You know, it was like who's the better
Oh,
leader.
I
That was
remember
kind of
that.
where it went out. And so
I
back
went with
then the meta was more about
I remember the
back then the meta was more about bonus attacks, right? You know, with possibly Ray getting multiple attacks and Count Dooku getting multiple attacks and Captain Phasma giving characters multiple attacks. That's kind of what the meta or the strategy back then was all about additional attacks. And then really you only had kind of like one leader and everybody used the same leader. So back then what's kind of interesting is 40% of the current character population would use the same exact leader. And so you'd see Captain Phasma on 40% of the shards. And that was for, you know, no matter what team you were playing against, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that. I went with Phasma on that. Actually, I kind of lucked out. I predicted it before it happened without even meaning to. I just saw Captain Phasma and just had to have her, and lucked out because that ended up being the meta. So I remember that. And then a whole bunch of other people had the Qui-Gon Jinn, but
Yep.
it happened.
So the past meta was really, you know, everybody did the same thing. And oops, I'm auto battling onto Obi-Wan. I don't want to do that. I don't want to kill Obi-Wan yet. Um, so anyway, it looks like Smithy D is kind of checking it out. So what's happening, Smithy D? Love your channel as well, man. All YouTubers got to give other YouTubers love for sure. So
Hold on 1 second, Warrior. Atomic, can you hear Warrior now? I just got some feedback. I thought I had the volume high enough up. I'm trying to see if they can hear you now. I apologize.
that's okay. I think everything's working on my end. So as far as the meta, it was all about extra attacks. You know, everybody used the same team, and so it kind of got bland because you know everybody would have the same exact team, and they wouldn't uh, change things up. And so they introduced mods, right? Because mods, instead of having 15 of the same team in the top 20, you could change your mods, and your mods would change, you know, how a character was built. And so you could have a character that was super tanky or they would hit super hard. It was kind of up to you to create your team. But the problem was everybody still used the same team. And then after the multi-attack meta, it went to the dodge meta, right? So tell me your thoughts on the dodge meta with, you know, the Dooku's and the old Bens.
Honestly, every now and then I still run across one of those teams, and it's either an old Ben or a Lumi lead who also gives you some bad chances.
Yeah, you know what, Luminara still, I run into her for some reason in Galactic War early on in my Galactic
Yeah,
War, and it's funny because
and
it's
every time
like
I run into them, it's
she
huge what your RNG is going to be like
right,
because I can either just completely demolish them, or I'll think I'm about to demolish them and then miss like 11 attacks in a row.
right.
And
It's like
even
what?
though I'll still beat them, it's just super annoying.
All right. So yeah. So I don't know. I think it's super annoying when you know you've got a 15% evasion chance and you can't hit the person to save your life. It's funny because they every character has that 2% worked in, right? Everybody knows that 2%. If you look at their stats, that's where they're at with stats, and it's really that 2% is really 15%. It's always 15% because at 2%, it's such an anomaly that the game's RNG doesn't pick it up. And so they had to kind of boost the natural evasion of every character so that way it actually would trigger. The only problem is then it made every character more evasion friendly. And then when you get characters that are built around evasion and dodge, such as that current met or that meta, then the issue became obviously they dodged like 30 to 40% of the time. And so that's why people ask, why do they dodge so much? And that's why, because the game's RNG, even at 2% dodge, they didn't want everybody to dodge a ton, but they felt like every character should be able to dodge an occasional hit. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, I still don't understand how they factored in the tank being able to dodge. Biggest thing in the game can is slow as hell, but can dodge attacks, and I just look at it like really.
Yeah, I don't understand why they worked that in like that, but they did. And I mean, see, it's like the Rancor. You know, the Rancor, you miss him. It's like you couldn't miss him if you wanted to, but they worked that in.
Let's not forget if you get that gate down on the Rancor and somehow he dodges, even though he's got nowhere to go. That's my personal favorite.
Yeah. So that's the past meta, right? The dodge meta or the multi-attack meta. But the idea was to get as many attacks in as possible, and if you couldn't get the attacks in, to dodge, right? Because then you could. It was like a timeout team. People would try to go for you, and they would only have 5 minutes on the arena, and they would end up not being able to complete the attack. So let's kind of come forward to where we're at now, and then we'll go into where we're going. So where we're at now is if you look at the meta now, the meta report that's on swgoh, it, I know,
Did you
right?
just say
Yeah, swgoh, make me say, swgoh. No, for real though, if you look, you got to really pay attention to top 100, right? Because not everybody is a mad coiner and has a ton of money, but the top 100 reflects the very, very best in the game, including free to play. And you want to have a wide swath of true player base, and so you want the pay to play and the free to play. And the only way to get that is to uh, bring in the top 100. And the top 100 will show you kind of what's going on in the current meta. And so when you look at that, you see Wedge and Biggs, that combo is used most of the time, but only 16% of the time in the top 100. Then it goes to Lando, of course, being used as a leader because they're kind of trade off leaders, right? One gives more speed and critical damage, the other one gives you that healing capability and things like that. But Lando's only used 12% of the time. Say that again?
I said healing and extra power. I say this because I have a wedge lead over Orlando because he provides the Rebels extra offense, and every time they score a critical hit or they defeat an enemy, they regain health.
Right. And so that's really cool, and then it goes to Emperor Palpatine, and that's great because a lot of people were just able to unlock him, and he's been meta for a while. And then you've got the HKs because people are doing the droids have always been meta and always will be meta because they just tear through teams. They don't hold their position very well, but that's kind of just what happens when you go with that as your team. So the rest of them, Boba Fett, he was just reworked. He's on the rise now. And then you've got your Rex, who's not going anywhere anytime soon. Jedi Knight Anakin, who's not going anywhere soon. And then your Qui-Gon Jinn was in the meta, kind of left, and now is back. But you see how broad the meta is, right? Now there's, 10 leaders being utilized in the top 100 very effectively versus 2 or 3, right?
I even started to see some Darth Vader showing up in my shards, but then again, with his new Zeta leadership, where uh, after the damage over time is removed, it replaces itself, and it could just be a ridiculous amount. It's just insane the amount of damage he's able to do now. He was always able to do damage, but now he just basically feasts. He used to be just feast or famine. Now he just feasts.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Boba Fett with him, and it's just over.
Yep. So the cool thing about the current meta is that truly, before the past meta, there were certain teams you could build and you could go into the number one spot and nobody could beat you. If you had the right team modded the right way, nobody could beat you. You could hold your spot overnight, nobody's going to take you out, and the next morning you wake up. The current meta is currently fixing that because really no team is unbeatable. Even my team that I did a video on that was all OP and stuff, I mean, it's still beatable. Every team can be beat, but I love the variety. Now, in this current meta, what's your favorite team or team composition that you've been seeing out there in the current meta?
honestly, and I'm just gonna go into my squad arena just to refine it and stuff. But I saw this very interesting one, and I'm pretty sure they beat me last night when I was sleeping. They seem to challenge me all the time, and then I come back and try to beat them, and it's 50-50. Let me go into my ranks real quick. But I saw this interesting one, and I say interesting because it was not something I had previously thought of. Um, and it was just a mixture of bits and parts. Um, I am not seeing him right now. But what it was is it was a wedge lead, and of course, when you have wedge, you have to have bigs. But then they threw in Emperor Palpatine, Royal Guard, and Shore Trooper. And I was thinking to myself, there's someone else besides me who uses a double tank. Oh, I'm the he takes my ideas.
Right.
I go in and I went in and first three times I battled him, I didn't even get a hit in.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, yeah, it was ridiculous because what would happen is you could tell he had speed mods on too because his wedge and bigs would go so fast, they'd go immediately, and most of the time they'd go after my wedge. So now my joint attack with bigs would be gone, and then immediately after, um, Emperor Palpatine would go and then stun three of my four remaining characters, and it just went downhill from there. And of course, the Royal Guard's the only one who truly taunts when someone's in trouble. Everyone else, you have to manually place their taunts, and he's got that Royal Guard. So as soon as I think I'm going to turn the tide, all of a sudden, boom, here he goes.
Right, exactly. So I think of the current meta, I love the fact that they've brought in so many other, characters and capabilities. The only downside, obviously, to the current meta is it's a little bit, and when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. It's a little bit rebel heavy, right? um,
I agree.
Character wise, but overall, it's pretty well balanced, honestly. And there's a lot of teams. And right now, what the meta is or what the strategy is AOE, doing lots of damage to lots of characters, right? So, Wedge doing his AOE, that's a lot of damage. Biggs doing his AOE, that's a lot of damage. Um, with his triple hit combo, Lando doing 10 to 20k to every single character. That's really the meta, right? Is doing a lot of damage, but a lot of damage to a lot of people. And a lot of people said that's overpowered. But before, it was all about um, one character doing a lot, like Ray, right? Ray did a lot of damage
Oh
to
yeah.
one
I
character.
remember when Ray was in like the top 10 arena teams because she was just completely OP. I actually remember before I was a YouTuber, obviously, and then I started like 3-4 months ago. I remember finally realizing that I can maybe start making videos and stuff because I ran across Mobile Gamers YouTube channel, and then I ran across your channel and a whole bunch of other Star Wars of Galaxy of Heroes channels. So I started thinking about it. But I remember thinking that because I watched one of his videos about Ray, and the title, I can't remember the exact title, was something about Ray, is she OP? And I'm watching some of these. Of course, this is before I had unlocked Ray at 7 stars, and I hadn't even used her. Like, I had her unlocked at like 5 stars, but I hadn't even used her once. Um, and I'm watching her hit for like 20, 30K. And this is, of course, back when the highest hitting character besides her was hitting for like 6 or 7K.
Right.
And I'm like, my God, I've got to go out and go get her. And just like Dooku, by the time I got her, she was obsolete when it came to the top 50. I
Right.
mean, you could still run across her every now and then, but it's not something you see as often anymore until you start hitting like 200 to 100.
Right. And what's funny about Ray is she's resistance, and they're starting to rework resistance, and so you're going to probably see Ray coming back. The other thing is what's really ironic, and this leads us into the next part of the conversation is future meta. The future meta is a blend of AOE damage and single damage again, single target damage. So the the new future meta. By the way, to find the future meta, go to swgoh and look at the top
I'm
1%. The number one
sorry, but
slot.
that's just hilarious.
Yeah, look at the number one spot, and that's where you're gonna find the kind of the future meta if you look at the number one spot. So the number one spot kind of dictates all the biggest coiners, all the biggest spenders, the whales. They're going to be the guys who are figuring out what's the best and where it's going because they're going there first, right? And so
Exactly.
people hate whales. I love the fact that there's this evolution and you get to see the evolution before it happens so you can kind of see it and see what's going to happen with it. So with that, Darth Maul, who was one of the biggest turds in the game, is making a rise, and that's because of his
Yeah, I
new
see that. I you know the
Zeta ability, whatever you want to call it. His new ability is leadership ability. Qui-Gon Jinn is on the rise again. He had lost his meta status, a long time ago. Great character, but had lost his meta status, months ago. General Kenobi is now being unlocked by a lot of people, and so he's becoming meta, and that's
Oh,
pretty
I saw
cool.
that happening as soon as he became the heroic tank takedown thing. Actually, funny thing about General Kenobi, I don't know if you know, Smithy D and I had a friendly bet right before the raid came out, and we were betting on what the next character was going to be, and I was betting hardcore on R2D2, him on General Kenobi, and it was only like a $5 bet, but a bet's a bet, you know. I ended up losing that, and the very next day after it came out, I'm like, okay, where do you want me to send the money to? He's like, nah, you don't have to. I'm like, nah, man, a bet's a bet.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Remon from Team Skunk just said, "What's up, Warrior?" By the way, Remon, I haven't forgot you and I are going to do this together as well. I'm super excited to do a live stream with Remon. I love his channel, so by the way, if you guys can go check it out as well. I love when Arnold T101 or Remon or Miss Passiert or even Trevor's channel, Mobile One, when they hop onto our live channel and check us out. I love that because it shows the community how close knit we are as a group, which I just it's nice to have support. I know a lot of people that think we make a lot of money and that we're sponsored, which means that we get money from this. Do you make any money from the game EA Sports or anything like or EA? Do you make any money? Virtual gaming
I
world.
am I am not sponsored by EA at all, so I cannot actually comment on that. I can only comment on my YouTube earnings, and let's just say that $5 bet is my entire YouTube earnings at this point.
I know a lot of people that think that this is like a full-time gig. I actually work a full-time job. I have, a job that I have to do. I've got one day off today. One day off this month or this week, I mean. I literally have one day off, Wednesday. That's today, and I'm on this on my one day off. After the stream, of course, I'm going to go live life, but I don't make a whole lot on YouTube. I do have one sponsor and that sponsorship's about to expire. And when that sponsorship expires, I don't know if I'm going to renew it because I feel like a lot of people kind of it kind of turns people off, and I don't want to turn off my base, people who enjoy watching. Now I know the loyal followers. I see them every day. We talk through the comments section. So for those people, I know they're not going anywhere. But for the casual user who's swinging into the channel and checking things out, when they see an ad, they're like, "Oh crap!" Now I don't control a lot of the ads, most of the ads, in fact. But the first ad, the one for that Ponage energy drink, that is mine. In fact, that's the one that I put on there. But my sponsorship ends in about a week, and then we're gonna readdress it from there. And I don't know if it's even benefiting that company at all or not. I do like the drink. I think it's pretty cool. But we'll see. But so let's back to the meta, and then we'll skip to the next part after the future meta. But so the future meta, what I'm seeing is a blend of characters who are hitting for massive damage, right? Like Darth Vader's Culling Blade. That's future meta. When you can hit someone for 91,000 in the arena, you're taking a tank out with one shot. That's awesome. Last night, and I posted this on Star Wars. They have a Facebook page. There's actually a few of them, but the Facebook page that I'm on, there's over 10,000 users. And I posted a picture of my Boba Fett hitting Sunfac for over 67,000. One hit. There was only 5 debuffs on that character. 5 debuffs. That was it. And he hit for 67,000 a crit. Pretty amazing. And so,
My God, did you have like crack cocaine or something?
yeah, I know, right? He drank his coffee out of the same mug I drink mine out of. It was a Rogue One mug, so Boba Fett got all excited, shot his execute.
I mean, it was either that or he got with Peter Griffin when Peter Griffin was told he couldn't have energy drinks and put kerosene in.
I know, right? So anyway, that's pretty funny. Hey, Jay Twinning says keep those sponsors. We'll see. Again, I want to make sure that I'm doing what's best for the channel. This is a community channel, right? We're all working together, and just like Virtual Gaming World, he brings out content he feels like will benefit the community of Star Wars. I'm the same way, and if I'm turning anyone off with sponsorships, I want to make sure that that goes away. But we'll see. So anyway, the future meta, it's about massive hits, right? Massive hits from a single target to a single target. Also, the AoE's not going anywhere. I don't care what anyone says. The Landos, the wedges, they're not going anywhere. You're going to actually see more AoEs, such as Darth Maul on the rise. His AoE is going to be damaging. So the future meta, though, now the future strategy is a blend, and there really won't be a particular character that takes over. So it's going to be a very balanced game. They're working towards that. But to get balanced, they've got to rework a ton of characters. And of course, the future meta will be basically the special abilities that are coming out, right? The Zetas or the Zeta abilities.
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
But I also think that some other leaderships can compete with the actual Zetas. I feel like the Zetas were not aimed to be OP so much as it was to level the playing field and make it so everybody had a chance to win battles.
Yep. And I agree. And the thing is what you compete against is similarly matched. So if you're top 50, you're going against other teams that are very similarly structured. It's the reason why you're top 50, because you were smart and you got certain characters you knew would get you to the top 50, and you're maintaining your spot because you have those characters. And so when someone, Zeta's an ability or Zeta's an ability, that word's going to kill me, dude, because I've heard it pronounced both ways professionally by people who are, Greek teachers. And I know the Greek alphabet myself, but it's from what I understand, it's a dialect thing from where in the region you are. And so anyway, it's funny. It's like the biggest, most argued thing on my channel is like how to pronounce that stupid word. So we're just gonna say the Z ability, but it's designed to allow another level, right? And so that next level doesn't even matter for somebody who's 120th or 220th, because most people at that level won't have it yet. And when they do, that ability is going to allow them to creep up a little higher in the chain, but then they're going to run into other people that have done that same thing as well. And everybody has the same access to this Zeta ability, mats, through the ship stuff. Now, my suggestion, I don't know about you, Virtual Gaming World, but I think people should focus on ships first, man, because you're not going to get that ability material without doing ships. You know what I mean? You gotta get the ships. You gotta get your characters leveled up, because you can earn these things through the challenge, and you want to be able to unlock that challenge, and then you get them long term, right? It's kind of like, do you want to plant?
I agree with you 100%. Due to the fact that in the Christmas season, I was working about 60, 70 hours a week, so I was doing bare minimum in this game, and due to that, I have been neglecting my ships, and I have not yet unlocked the challenge to get free Zetas, and I'm sure not spending 2,000 ship coins to go get one Zeta material when you need 20 for a character.
Right. And so it's kind of dependent, like, what do you want? So, like, I'm in my fleet shipments right now, and I'm going for the Scimitar, right? Because the Scimitar is a really, really cool ship. And I'm 41 out of 85. You only get 4 when you buy. So I've got 144, which is a ridiculous, number of purchases. It's like 31 more purchases I've got to do. And so I've got to focus if I want that ship leveled up. I've got to focus on getting those when they drop. So I kind of hoard my my ship coins. What are they called? Your fleet arena tokens. I kind of hoard those. Really love those. I do use them for the ability material once in a while. One thing I noticed is when they first came out with this, uh, when you would do like the stun cuffs and things like that, they were only given two, which was super ripoff. But now they've raised it to five, and I think that now if you go in and buy them out of the fleet shipments, it's not such a ripoff, right?
It's not as much as a ripoff and stuff. I still stay away from it. Literally, I'm using the fleet arena coins to for two things. One of them is anytime I see a dark side ship because I need it for the challenges, I'm immediately picking it up. And the other one I'm doing is whenever I see someone like Commander Cody or Echo or any other characters that used to be exclusive for the pay-to-pay players that is now available. Um, I'm going after them in both the fleet shipments and the guild shipments, and that's because they are available now. And some of these characters look really good. I saw somebody do phase two with a clone team and stuff, and actually I've been doing a lot about that on my channel recently and stuff, courtesy of Knights Templar. Who did really well on phase two with it and stuff, and I was quite impressed. I already had Rex 5 the first lieutenant, so all I needed to do was go out and go get Commander Cody and Echo, and currently I have Cody at 6-star and Echo at 5.
Right. So let's go ahead and move into the. By the way, I'm doing a ship battle, and the RNG is decimating me right now. It's so funny. I mean,
I'm actually in a Rancor raid, so.
it's funny. I can come into these battles and in 2 minutes win and not lose a single ship, and then I can come in here and lose two ships within the first 30 seconds. It's absolutely crazy how that works, right? I mean, the RNG really can swing a battle. So my thought to that in the ships battles are just be patient. Try it. You got 5 attempts, man. Make your five attempts though.
You also got to keep in mind, though, this is an EA game, and EA is known for RNG. I mean, I do a lot of sports leagues. I've been in competitive sports leagues for a very long time. Um, I've been one of the top players of a bunch of leagues and stuff, and I complain about it all the time. Like, you'll see me clearly, for example, in hockey, I'll be standing on top of a puck with nobody near me for 5 seconds expecting to pick it up, and someone will just swing by from the other team and grab it before my guy even thinks about touching it. And it's all based on momentum. It seems like EA has this one constant no matter what game they have, and it's don't let the other team get momentum, because as soon as they get momentum, it's over.
Right. Well, and the other thing is their random numbers generator is actually a really good random numbers generator. It's one of the best in the industry, and so it's one of those things where it is what it is. I mean, it's got to randomly generate numbers, so it's always going to be what it's going to be. You can't change that, and if you don't have it, the game sucks, because then there's predetermined factors, and you got to have that randomness, right? That's just what makes it,
I agree.
yeah, that's just what makes it for sure. Man, I am getting smoked on this battle. It's hilarious, because I'm in the number one slot right now, and this team that I beat very handedly yesterday is working me like, oh man, I'm down to three ships. So let's move forward to the next part of the conversation. You wanted to talk about, and you can kind of lead the conversation about future characters or characters that need reworks. Let's talk about that.
I was actually gonna not touch the ones that need reworks because there are quite a few of them and stuff, and I'm still kind of a little irritated about it, so to speak. But let's not touch those, and let's go on to some of the characters that I think would be unique for certain teams, and other ones that would increase other current squads, like, for example, we have clones and we've got resistance, so on and so forth, to boost the amount of people you can actually have. And one of the first people I have is Bazine Natel, who is a bounty hunter who grew up on Chactil, where she learned a range of deadly martial arts. And she is also a scoundrel who would go very well with Zam Wessel and Co.
Oh, that would be
I don't know.
that would be cool. So I really, you know what
Yeah,
I my side of this is new characters are great, right? But I'm kind of the mind like let's fix the ones we currently have. So I get kind of frustrated with wow, my Poe just hit for 85K. um so I'm like of the mind let's fix what's wrong with the game first kind of thing, and there's a rework needed for sure on a lot of characters, and so I'm thinking rework on a lot of the characters. That's kind of my thought process with this.
oh yeah.
And I would like to see all of the troopers, all the troopers, and I would like to see sand troopers and death troopers added, but I would really like to see all of the troopers. I think it would be cool to have a trooper team, a complete trooper team. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't that be fun to have?
Like a whole bunch of clone troopers, you were saying, or
No,
do
no,
you
no,
mean
not clones. I'm talking about actual like stormtrooper. Have him reworked and actually work. Magma trooper. Have him actually work.
oh yeah, yeah. Sand troopers, snow troopers, storm troopers. They all need some work. But then again, I can't really get mad, so to speak, when it comes to any of the snow troopers, storm troopers, so on and so forth from 456, because literally only one of them should have ever received a reward for hitting a rebel, and that was the one who hit Princess Leia. Rest in peace.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I don't
You
know
know,
how, but it
everyone
looks
else.
like I might be pulling off this battle on my ship's battle while we're talking. I have no idea how I'm gonna pull this off, but it looks like I just might pull this off. I was down
Oh,
two ships in the first 30 seconds, and it just might happen, but I'll tell you, it's because of my Darth Maul ship. He is, if there was a ship that's OP, Darth Maul under Admiral Akbar is about as OP as it gets. And by the way, I haven't heard anyone online talking about that, but I know people talk about Darth Maul, but the combination of Biggs, Darth Maul, and Admiral Akbar is absolutely overpowered. So definitely that's a combination that's super fun.
oh, don't forget Wedge in there and stuff. The amount of damage he can get if you get Biggs and is tawn up with Admiral Akbar behind there supporting him,
Yeah.
and Wedge has to run free. I mean, my Wedge is only a 4-star ship, and granted, he's gear level 10, not mine, but he's only like level 60 his ship, anyways. And my, tier 4, level 60 little ship with with Wedge hits on his special ability for sometimes up to 30,000. you
Right.
know, which doesn't sound like much, but when you consider the fact that I'm neglecting ships, so I'm struggling just to stay in the top 200, um, he's definitely holding it in there for me. But I do believe that ships, Smithy said something to me, and at first I didn't quite agree with Smithy D, but thinking about it now, I can kind of see where he's getting at. But he believes ships is going to have a meta, and he believes it's going to be Empire. And when you think about it, between Vader, um, Darth Maul and his scimitar, and Boba Fett alone, those three ships, if you have those three ships maxed out, any one of those three can completely turn the tide of the battle. You put all three together with some other dark side ships and Grand Moff Tarkin backing them up, it could be insane.
Yep. That's totally true, and I felt that way about the ships that it's completely overpowered with the Empire, and I honestly think that's a great thing. I do believe the future meta. While we're talking about it, I do believe that the future meta is Empire as well in the arena. Now, it's not going to be the only part of the meta, but Empire is extremely strong now with Emperor Palpatine as a leader, or Darth Vader as a leader, with Darth Maul as a leader. Now, I know Darth Maul's not Empire, but he can lead a Sith, an Empire team that's pretty OP. And so it's just one of those things where I know a lot of people,
Let's put
want
it
the
like this.
meta to.
Even without the tag, Darth Maul is Empire. I don't care. He was still the coolest ever, and the only one to ever beat Qui-Gon Jinn, or rather, the guy who played Qui-Gon Jinn in any movie.
Right, that's for that's for sure. So, what other characters would you like to see in the game?
What other characters? Honestly, call me partial to the Clone Wars, but there are a lot of clone troopers and Jedi's from the Clone Wars that have yet to be added. I mean, one of them, not clone troopers, but Jedi wise, and the reason why I like her, not only is the fact that it increase the amount of female characters you have, but how do you not include Adi Gallia, who was a Jedi Master on the High Council?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry, but anyone on the High Council, whether her or Yaddle or someone along those lines, how do you not include them? They've got to be in there and stuff. They were a huge part of the franchise and stuff. And whether you started from the Clone Wars or you started from episodes 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, you know, right after episodes 1 and 2, where the Clone Wars really kicked in and stuff, everything that happened after and stuff is a direct result of what happened in the Clone Wars, and that's what a lot of people fail to realize. So if you're a huge Star Wars fan, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's on Netflix and stuff, and it's a great series, and you'll see a bunch of things you never thought you'd see. I went into it thinking it was just going to be like, I remember the 2003 version of the Clone Wars, and it was like super like cheesy cartoonized, and I couldn't watch it, but this one was just so much better.
Yeah, and I think that really we should have characters from the Rebels series. I mean, that's like completely omitted here. And then the Old Republic. By the way, have you guys seen the commercials for the new Old Republic? Oh my God, I am so excited about the future Old Republic. I just wish they would bring in some of those characters. But if I was going to pick a couple of characters that I would bring in, obviously Death Troopers would be fun just because it's Rogue One and it's new. So that would be cool. Jedi Luke. I think a lot of people have just commented recently that Jedi Luke should be in here. It's kind of an absolute travesty that he's in the game. We don't get to play with him, and he's on the main screen. We have to see him every single time we log in.
Honestly,
Then we got to see him. We don't get to play with him. What's up with that, man?
honestly, if I had to take a wild guess, and I've been saying this for a while on my channel, I don't know how many of my videos you've actually seen, Warrior, but I've been saying this for a while. Based on what you're saying and the fact that we have to see him every time we log in. If once I saw tournaments come out, my immediate reaction, and I still believe this to this day, Jedi Luke is going to come out, but it's going to be in a tournament exclusive. Now, whether it's a ship tournament, if they ever decide to do those, or the tournaments we currently face, is unknown. But if I had to guess, he's going to show up in a tournament because I feel like he's going to be extremely OP with or without Zeta. And it's going to be kind of like Jyn Erso. Like, you really want her and stuff, but you're going to have to spend to go get her.
True.
So that's what I feel is going on. But to go back to the Republic members you were talking about, what do you think about adding someone like Bail Organa in?
That would be awesome. There's a bunch of characters though I think that are kind of just iconic, like Jango Fett. Why is he not in the game already? Jango Fett would be great. Malik, I think a lot of people would love Malik in the game for sure, right? I think there's probably a dozen people who comment right now. C3PO, that's hilarious. Sony Hill asked for that. What about Revan, however you say his name, Revan, I think is how you pronounce it, Darth Revan. I think that would be absolutely amazing to have him in there. Star Killer, there's so many different characters that they haven't introduced. I'm excited for the future of this game because they can go anywhere and do anything. And truly, every time they bring out one of these characters, like Revan, they're going to make the entire populace happy for at least a moment. We'll all have a bunch of dopamine released in our head, and we'll be all crazy for a couple of months. People will spend hundreds of dollars on the game, or if they're free to play, they might actually spend $5 or $10 on the game because they've got such a cultic following with Star Wars. They're really blessed. I really hope that they continue to do what they've been doing, which is listening to the populace. You know, the people who are playing the game, for sure.
Oh, I still remember when they came out with clones. I was super happy because I'm a big Clone Wars fan. And, when I saw the list, don't get me wrong, Fives, great choice. Rex, great choice. Echo, also another great choice. Cody, great choice. First Lieutenant's kind of generic. But then I was looking at it, I'm like, where's Clone Commander back? Fox, what about Clone Commander Bly or Clone 99 or anyone along those lines? Apple. I mean, come on, there's limitless clones you could choose from and stuff. And you give us five. With them.
Yeah.
So I feel like every time they release characters, yeah, we're gonna get that dopamine in our system. We're gonna be happy, so on and so forth. But there's always gonna be those huge diehard fans that gonna be like, "Oh, you added a character from this series, but you couldn't add these characters." So no matter what they do, it's win-win but lose-lose at the same time. It's kind of a win-lose. You're gonna make a lot of people happy, but then you're gonna have people like, "Oh, where's these?" So you're never gonna be able to please everybody and stuff. But I do believe this game is trying to get at least probably about 60% of the characters in the Star Wars universe over time inside of this game, which is going to be absolutely insane when that happens, because even at 60%, we're talking how many warrior, like 500 different characters?
Oh, there's over 1,000, and so think about that. If the game continued to evolve, and so for example, the tournaments, if they changed the tournaments from PvP to PvE, almost everybody would be happy, and that would be a great change. And you know that a lot of people would be sticking around a whole lot longer because the average person plays a mobile game that they like for about a year and then they give it up. And there is a lot of people who've played this game for a year who are still playing the game. Now, some of them are doing it because they've invested money. Others are doing it just because it's a fun free to play grind. I have a friend who hasn't spent a penny in the game. He's been playing since the inception of the game, and he is loving the game. So his perception of the game, and I love his perspective, I love to talk to him, is really about, you know, what do you get from the game in aspects of what they're laying out. So they're laying out these tournaments. So his thought is, dude, if I play the tournament and suck at the tournament, it doesn't matter. Ally points were trash. Now they're not. Everybody gets to use their trashy ally points to actually play in the tournament. And even if he slow grinds a character, he's like, it's just another form of farming. And that's a good point because these are characters that would have been pay to play, right? And now tell me, you need to name 5 people who you can't get right now as a free to play. Name 5. You can't do it. Try.
I can't even name one, to be honest.
Well, Chirrut,
I mean,
Baze,
granted,
Jin,
some might say
Cassian.
some might say General Kenobi, but that's only because they, here's the thing. I didn't start spending this money on this game at all until probably about a month ago and stuff. And literally, I just did it to get me just like 2 or 3 more characters to get me heroic ready. If I would have continued on the free to play, it would have taken me about a month longer and stuff. But I've been farming, right. I've got 45 different 7-star characters and stuff, and 43 of them was when I was completely free to play. So they could say General Kenobi all they want, but if they farm the right way, General Kenobi is attainable because you can put in your work on the heroic tank takedown.
Right. That's true. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are upset with tournaments and things like that. Oh, and Shore Trooper. So there's 5. Shore Trooper, Jin, Cassian, Chirrut, and Baze. And by the way, they're all Rogue One. So other than some Rogue One characters, you can get anybody and everybody in the game. They're all free to play. You can get Rex, you can get Sunfac, you can get anybody that was previously untouchable. And not only do they drop in the ships shipments, but now they're dropping in your arena, your team, whatever it's called, your stores. Yeah, the store shipments that you get from your league or from your guild shipments. So essentially, aside from the newest of the new, everybody's farmable. And if you think about it, all five of those characters were farmable. Sunfac, or not Sunfac, but Shore Trooper was farmable. I bet even if you don't have all of Shore Trooper unlocked, you earned shards that you wouldn't have earned if it was the old fashioned way. If he was put into just chromium, you would not be able to get him as a free to play. But now, I bet you have some shards from him, right? Because you got to play the tournament and everybody got to play. And even if you didn't unlock him, you still got some shards of him. And I also see them only putting him in the tournament for a short period of time. And then after they go in the tournament a couple of times and they've been out for a couple of months and the big wigs get them and play with them and have unlocked them, then they move them. And they either move them to a pay to play or a free to play perspective. It depends on how powerful the character is, but it gives them a couple of months to figure out where they want to move that particular character. But aside from Rogue One characters, everybody is completely farmable for free to play. So my thought is build a team that's not Rogue One that can beat and dominate Rogue One. And there are a lot of options, including Jedi and Empire and the old Rebel meta, including the Biggs Wedge combo, right?
Exactly. And my thoughts on that is honestly though, like yeah, you got the Rogue One characters in there, but there used to be like 20 to 25 characters you couldn't really farm unless you're a pay to play, and now you can farm them, and they all become farmable eventually. And like you said, they just got to figure out where to put them because all the whales will go after them, and then they'll figure out, like you said, if they're OP or not, what their best uses are, so on and so forth. So basically, it's just and on top of that, that allows the free to play to see what they're really about. And then when they're released, they know whether or not to go after them. Because do you really want to go after a character that you know nothing about? I mean, that makes no sense. They're all going to be eventually free to play in one way, shape, or form, anyways. I'd rather just let the whales have their fun with these new characters. You know, you work on characters that they had already had fun on, and then seeing what happens from there. And you basically get a first-hand preview of what they're capable of before they become released, so you know whether or not to go farm them.
That's absolutely true, and I completely and utterly agree with that. And so that's the idea. Plus, this is the other thing. Think about the meta and the past, current, and future meta. The future meta has Darth Vader. Everybody gets Darth Vader. Everybody can get Qui Gon Jinn, and he's coming back with his Zeta ability, right? Um, General Kenobi. If you're in a good league that can unlock him, hey, what's up, Ewokin? What? He's on. Everybody's on. We got everybody on today, man. This is awesome. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to Team Instinct. You can shout your team out, but Team Instinct has been awesome. They support me. They are constantly giving me all the gear I need, and they're always theory crafting. When I pop in and I see their theory crafting, I'm blown away. Sometimes I'm like, what are they talking about? This is nuts because of the combinations they talk about. The theory crafting is amazing. I'm blessed to have some of the best players in the game. So that's really important to me. I'll tell you on your league, not you specifically, virtual, but for anybody else, if your league is fun and you enjoy it and you're not able to unlock certain characters, but you're okay with that, that's fine. But if you personally are playing this game and you want General Kenobi and you can't get him, you got to make a decision. Do you want to have him or do you want to be in a team where you're just friendly with people you really don't know? So that's kind of the thing. You got to figure that out, and that's a balance. So you can shout your team out, man. Who are actually you with?
I'm actually with the Bounty Hunters Guild. Actually, the actual guild name I'm on is Squad Goals, but it runs under Bounty Hunters Guild. And it's funny you say that about your choice, so on and so forth. And the reason I say that is because I was for a very long time one of the strongest members of one team in particular, which is hilarious. It's been a while since I've been on that team, and I actually forgot the team name. But that's besides the point. I was a huge member for them. Loved them to death. They were great guys. I watched them grow and get stronger, and then the heroic tank takedown came out, and I tried to stay with them. I just ended up not being able to because I needed to, get stronger, and they just weren't there. I watched them grow from a tier 5 raid Rancor to a heroic, but I was still doing a lot of the work, and I felt bad leaving that guild. And it's actually one of my regrets. And now they don't even want to talk to me, and I feel bad about it because I love those guys dearly, and I wish they, would just listen to me. But I do regret doing that. However, I had to get stronger. If I didn't leave when I left, I'd probably not be anywhere near where I am today, and I would definitely not be in a heroic tank takedown guild due to the fact that I'd be one of the strong members, and quite frankly and stuff, shout out to my bounty hunters guild because I thought I was a strong player with my 45 7-star characters, and I'm struggling to get my 2% on the heroic. I mean, I can get it. It's just not easy for me. It's not a cakewalk like I thought I was going to be. When I heard 2%, I'm like, oh, I'll go get 4, 5, 6%. No, no. So shout out to my guild for being able to hold in there for me. Members that can use for 7% on each stage. Um, but going back to what you're saying, I do agree. It's really your choice. If you're happy with where you are and happy with your guild, and you want to stay with them, and you don't really care much for the heroic tank takedown, then yeah, stay with your guild. But if not, like Warrior said, you need to come up with your own decision and stuff. I made my decision, so I've got to sleep with that at night. I feel bad I lost contact with all of them. I miss them all, but there's not much you can do when you're trying to get stronger. I feel bad for leaving them, though.
Well, my original guild I got in, you start the game and there's all these guilds and you don't know what you're doing when you first start, or at least I didn't. And so you pick a team and you just start, playing with them. But then you very quickly realize you've got to do something because you're not gonna you're not gonna do well in this game if you don't, you know, if you don't. You've got to pick a team that's going to do well for you. So I chose a different team pretty quickly that I thought was going to actually help me, and I went into that team and they were awesome. Don't get me wrong; it was a really really cool team. Felt like they were very on point. They were doing attacks on not heroic but on the tier 6, and I thought, okay, this team's pretty good. But the problem was I couldn't get Han Solo. Now I don't know about you, but something about me, but it just bothered me to know that there was this really cool character that in theory was really awesome, and I couldn't have access to him. And I'm like, this isn't fair. At least that's what I thought, right? I was like, this isn't fair. So I just went online and I applied at Team Instinct, and they obviously have pretty high standards because they're a top ranked team, just like Team Skunk and all the others. They very very competitive, and so but they took a chance on me, and so I was really lucky for them to actually consider me, and it's been great because now I've gotten Han Solo, I've got General Kenobi. I'm the only one currently
Well,
on
that
my
makes one
shard.
of us
There's a
with
lot of
Han
people on
Solo.
my shard about to unlock him, but I'm currently the only one with him unlocked right now, and that's really a huge advantage.
I mean, I'm at 130 of 145 shard. I didn't face that dilemma till General Kenobi came out, and I had look at his stats, and then I was like, okay, now I really got to think, because when I saw Han Solo stats, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. He shoots first, can stun the target, whatever. It's not that big of a deal for me. It's not worth leaving a guild. I'm happy. And then I saw General Kenobi's, and I'm like, ooh, decisions.
Yep,
Once I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to rethink my strategy and where I want to be in life at this point.
yep. So, really
Yeah,
quickly on Han
especially
Solo,
since he's from the Clone
Han
Wars.
Solo's pretty amazing actually. If you use him right,
Oh, nothing I get.
you've got to use him right though, just like any character. So I like him under Admiral Akbar lead because this is what you do: you have Admiral Akbar faster, And then Admiral Akbar goes first, and he puts in his, his extra
I have to
ability
go
on the
see it.
top of everyone's head, right? The triangle on everyone's head. And
I
then
have to
you
go see it.
use Han Solo's third ability, which gives everybody evasion up and critical chance up. And then after you give everybody critical chance up, evasion up, he gets to go again, right? So then you use his second ability, which is hits for 25k most of the time for me. 25k is a lot. And he takes out a target or he critically damages a target. And then uh, he gets turn meter from his second turn. And so then he gets to go again. So with Admiral Akbar and Han Solo, you can actually you just got to have a really fast Admiral Akbar. And he gives everyone tenacity too, which is cool. So then Admiral Akbar gives Han Solo 3 turns in a row. You can use all 3 abilities. Then your whole team is evading more, kind of like the evasion meta. Everybody's got critical chance up, so they're all going to hit harder. And he gets to do his special ability and his basic ability, which hit for about 25k and then 15k respectively. So you're at about 40k damage to a target. And that's a really cool thing strategy wise. I haven't seen a lot of people play or do, but it's fun if nothing else. I actually used that in the last tournament to chew through a number of people, and I used Ray as well just because it's fun to
Well,
use characters you've
if I
worked
had
up.
to guess why you haven't seen it, his whole thing, his unique ability, being able to shoot first, be the first person. That's probably why nobody expected anyone else on your team to be able to go before Han Solo, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it
and
absolutely
on top
does.
of that, then it's like he can only use his basic. So you combine the two. I mean, maybe it's because somehow he got Admiral Akbar to go up in front of him that now he could use more than his basic. And if I had to guess, that's how you're able to do it because it does specifically say that he shoots first, and he can only use his basic, but it will stun his target. So my guess is that it cancels that bit out, but he's still fast enough that he'd go second, and then with the Admiral Akbar abilities, so on and so forth, he gets to do a 3 turn little thing, kind of like Emperor Palpatine helping out Vader when Palpatine's the lead, and he can actually go 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
Um,
and when he goes his 3 turns or whatever, somebody that's a rebel shoots out a turn because of Admiral Akbar. So actually, instead of just that part of it, I forgot to even mention that you have, as he's doing all of his abilities, you have other people just going crazy shooting and stuff. Normally it ends up being Admiral Akbar, but it's just extra attacks, right? That was the old meta, extra attacks, and so it's pretty cool. But I have Han Solo. I've got mediocre mods at best. I don't have him completely maxed out. But as far as health and protection, I have him around 40k. So he's really not going to get one shot um, unless it's set up by Darth Vader or Boba Fett. Unless you have a really really good Wigs team, with no auto taunter, that's a chance. I don't have him very fast at all, but I have his critical damage over 200, and then I have his potency, which actually matters in for him. I have his where is his potency? Or no, sorry. Let's see. Critical chance is what matters. I have it around 58%, which is enough that he triggers it. He gets enough turn meter. He gets to go 3 times in a row. So that's pretty cool.
well, that makes a little more sense because honestly, me, one of the reasons I love playing this game and I love playing a lot of EA games. Granted, they get all the momentum and everything, and it's very hard. But I'm a strategic kind of guy. I like anything that makes me strategically think.
Right.
And this game is one of those, and even I didn't even think about that because I just looked at the ability where he shoots first and he can only use his basic and stun the target. I had never thought that even your own team can go before because I've never seen it happen. So and then with that ability combined, in my mind, there's no way that was even possible. If you're telling me that's possible, that's something that sounds really cool. I look forward to testing that theory out.
Yep.
But I like being able to outthink games. That's why when I see metas, I try to think of my own version of a meta. Speaking of which, one of the ideas that came to me is I'm seeing a lot of people use Bear Sophie and General Kenobi, so on and so forth. But in my eyes, here's the thing, and it's going to be sacrilege to the Rex lovers, but what I want to see is I want to see a Commander Cody Zeta with Echo and fives with the Zeta, General Kenobi and Barris Ophi Zeta. Now, why is Rex not in there? Because the General is Kenobi's ability to remove debuffs and turn them into buffs. If you have Rex in there, you might actually use it instead of using it for your advantage with Kenobi. So now, whatever debuff you had, you're getting the opposite buff. And then you've got all these other Zetas. Every time fives get hit, all clone 15%. Turn meter, everyone else 7.5%. Bear Soul P, every time somebody gets critically hit, they regain 20% of their maximum health. Commander Cody's, every time they use a basic ability, they regain 5% health. Like, I think it would just be absolutely insane.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. So, virtual gaming world, I am running near an end. I've got to go. I do. It's my only day off, so I'm going to bounce on you and I'm going to take off. But I wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for doing this dual uh, stream. I think it was a super fun idea. I actually want to do this with like 3 or 4 or 5 YouTubers at one time. I think that would be super fun. I really do like this app. And so let's plan on something in the future for sure. But I'm definitely gonna, get out of here now. I do want to say, thanks for everybody who got to watch. I like the support that we're getting on these channels. I will put Virtual Gaming World's YouTube channel link in the description down below. So I'm gonna bounce on my channel. So as always, thanks again, Virtual Gaming World, for your time. Keep your gaming on. Warrior out.
Thanks again, Warrior.